Hey guys, thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. Today we're going to be going over Bitcoin ROI. We're going to be looking at it in a different way than we have in the past. So if you guys like this content, please subscribe to the channel. If you guys like discussing these charts, definitely check out my Telegram channel in the description below. Our group is around 1,240 members at this point, so there's plenty of people to talk to. And also follow me on Twitter if you guys want to see any type of updates and whatnot. So today we're looking at 90-day ROI and the 1-year ROI of Bitcoin. In the past, what we've done is we averaged this data over the course of the entire decade, but now we're gonna look at it in a more resolute form. This way, we're not basically taking data from long ago and having it unnecessarily weight current trends. So now what we're doing is we're just plotting the 90-day ROI for each year and each month. So essentially this is if you had bought Bitcoin in, say, August 2010 and then sold it 90 days later, your ROI would have been 1, 2, 3, 4, a little over 4x. So remember, 10 to the 0 is 1, and 10 to the 1 is 10, so this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and on up to 10. And note that this dashed line here at 10 to the 0, it's 1, and that represents that you're breaking even on your investment. So if you'd invested, in that month of that year, held it for 90 days, sold it no matter what, if you're above this dashed line, then you would have seen positive returns. If you're below the dashed line, you would have seen negative returns. You would have lost money. So one of the key things here is, the ROI, the short-term volatility of Bitcoin, as I've mentioned before, is getting lower. I mean, you can see that early on you were able to regularly see 3 to 4x returns, even sometimes over 10x, up to even over 20x one month. And then even in 2013, you were able to see, between, say, 5 to 8x in 90 days. But, those times have gone. Seeing a 90-day ROI of Bitcoin of 20x is likely not going to be happening again. Not to say that it can't, but as far as I'm concerned, I don't really ever expect that to happen. So you can see we're more or less oscillating down, and these ROIs, these 90-day ROIs, are getting smaller and smaller. Now, certainly, that doesn't mean you could never see a much higher ROI with Bitcoin if you buy it, at a good time and then sell it at a good time. This is just if you buy it and then sell it 90 days later, no matter what happens. So it's just a different way to look at the price data. So if we just say draw lines from the month that had the highest 90-day ROI from every year, you can see that we are generally decreasing. And in fact, we went, not that this is very, scientifically rigorous, but we went up and then down and up and then down and then up, down, up. So if we continue that pattern, which is kind of a silly pattern, but if we do continue it, then in 2020 we would expect that the 90-day ROI from any given month might be less than, around 2.2 or so for this to go down. Now, it might be higher than that. There's clearly no foolproof evidence of the contrary. It's just an interesting trend that we kind of oscillate every year, whether it's going up or down in the maximum of the 90-day ROI at the best month, basically, to invest. So, with that said, let's look into the 1-year ROI. So this is basically, I have it plotted backwards in most graphs. So instead of, it's showing if you had bought in 2010, what would have been your 1-year ROI 1 year later. So on typically the 1-year graphs, I like to just show you what the year currently is and say if you had bought a year before. But this is basically if you had bought in 2010, this would have been your 1-year ROI if you had sold 1 year later. So you can see in August of 2010, you would have seen over 100x if you had then sold in August of 2011. And one of the things is, I don't really have to draw this for you. I will, but you can see a general trend here of it, kind of making this pattern. So let's just draw in these curves. So you can see that there's basically this imaginary line that means absolutely nothing, I want to clarify that because a lot of times I draw these lines and then people will like to say, well, these are just imaginary lines. Yes, thank you. As if I did not know that this was an imaginary line. This is an imaginary line. It doesn't mean anything. We can easily go above it. We could easily never reach it again. The point is we're just looking at where the 1 year ROI has come up to in the 3 times that it has seen these peaks over these longer time frames, and it more or less corresponds to this line. So basically, I'm just drawing from the peak up here to the bottom, up to the peak, down to the bottom, up to the peak, down to the bottom, and then so on and so forth out here. Now, clearly, at a first glance, this seems like we're increasing quicker over here than we were over here. But note that over here, we also, we cut through a lot of this data, and we just drew it to the peak. Well, if the peak is way off over here somewhere, then this line will ultimately end up being flatter, which is what I think. This is my contention. I've talked about the 4-year cycle all along, and how I think we're more likely to be on a lengthening cycle, but please give me a 4-year cycle. I would love a 4-year cycle. It's just, it seems like it might not happen. Just by looking at these trends, it seems like this next one is going to dip down and then maybe take a bit longer, and then ultimately we're going to see something that maybe looks like this, and then if you extend it all the way out to say 2022 or so, it might hit this line at a 90-day ROI of say or a 1-year ROI of 5x. So consider that. Now, you say, oh, well, 5x isn't that much. Well, considering, what if Bitcoin, let's just suppose for a minute that in 2020, Bitcoin doesn't do a whole lot, and let's just say let's say it oscillates between $5,000 and $10,000, and then in 2021, let's say it goes to $20,000. Well, in 2022, a 5x ROI, would it be going to $100,000? So remember, it's just the 1-year ROI if you buy it and sell it 1 year later. So you can imagine how this could continue, and then we would still easily, theoretically anyways, get to $100,000 Bitcoin. It's just we don't know exactly the shape that this curve is going to take. If it's a 4-year cycle, it's most likely going to come up this way. And if it's a 5 or 6 year cycle, then the peak's gonna be way out over here. So if you guys like this content, please again subscribe to the channel. I do run a Patreon channel where I do post more updates, and I would, if you guys want to support me, you can find that in the description below. Again, if you want to just join in the conversations that people are having, we do have over 1,200 people on my Telegram channel, so feel free to check that out. And then we also actually have a Discord channel that I'm not really on as much, but we do have, I am on there somewhat, regularly, just not as much as Telegram. But the nice thing about Discord is that, everything, all the videos have their own channels. So there's I kind of put this admin there in charge named CB, and he's organizing everything for everyone. So you can go there and click on whatever channel you want to and see all the videos for that coin that I've made. So it's kind of nifty in that regard. We do have, I've mentioned this many times before, but one thing I want to alert you guys to is I've been working on a report for Bitcoin for weeks now, and I'm going to be publishing it probably within the next week. So be on the lookout for that. It's basically taking everything that we've done in the last 2 months, and in some cases making it better. Sometimes, I realize there might be, something I overlooked, or perhaps I didn't consider something specific. So I've tried to make everything a little bit better for the most part, and that report will be coming out in the next week or so. So please follow me on Twitter, whatever it might be. If you guys want to get more involved, there's plenty of ways to do that. I think that wraps it up for this video. If you guys like this, please let me know in the comments. Bye.